everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be making a really fast 30-minute earwormer. This is beautiful, quick, and I know you're going to absolutely love it. So this one is so quick, you can easily stitch it up. You can make it for everyone on your gift giving list. And this is truly a scrap yarn project. I'm going to be collecting all my scraps and we're going to work through it step by step and stitch by stitch. You can also get the full written pattern over at the Fiberflux blog, and you can get the ad-free pattern PDFs both in my Etsy shop and my Ravelry shop as well. Now, before we get started, be sure and click that subscribe button to get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. I share full project tutorials from start to finish, just like this one, stitch tutorials, vlogs, roundups, and so much more. We have so much fun here on Fiberflux, and I can't wait for you to join us. So click that subscribe button and get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. So let's jump right in and learn how to make this 30-minute earwormer. Okay, let's take a closer look at this gorgeous earwormer. We're going to be doing the closed shell stitch and just a variety of colors here. I have like a red, a brown, and a cream. I just thought that looked so beautiful together, and it has so much texture and it's very cozy. We're going to be making a long rectangle and just seaming it together. Very, very quick. Now I wanted to point out as a side note that if you want your project to be even quicker, instead of switching colors like I did, I switched colors a whole lot here, you could use all one color and it would be even faster, or you could do a self-striping yarn if you do want some color changes. So just as a side note, to make your project even quicker, you could just stick with one yarn for the project. Now our finished piece is about 4.5 inches wide and has an 18-inch circumference. So it's nice and wide and it will cover your ears very easily. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. We're going to be making this a long rectangle and seaming it up. We're going to be using a tape measure. This is helpful if you want to change up the sizing or take a specific measurement of the circumference of the head. We're going to be using a 9mm end crochet hook. This is my Furl Streamline in the Wood. If you're interested, I'll put the link down below for that. And then for our yarn, I grabbed some scraps. I thought these colors looked really pretty together, very festive and cheerful. This is some number 6 super bulky yarn, and all 3 of these are Wool Ease Thick and Quick. Again, this is a great scrap project yarn. We're going to be doing lots of fun colors together. If you want to replicate this palette that I have here, this is all 3 of these are Wool Ease Thick and Quick by Lion Brand. This is the Barley, the Fisherman, and the Cranberry. Our earwormer has a starting chain of 13. However, if you want to change the width of it, we're going to be establishing the width with our starting chain, making a long rectangle, and then seaming it. But if you want to change the width, it is a multiple of 6 plus 1. We're going to start off by leaving ourselves a little bit of a tail. You can use this later to seam it up, and it will prevent you from having to cut another piece of yarn. So we're going to begin by putting a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Then what we'll do is we'll do our starting chain. Again, that's going to be 13 chains. So to make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and just bring it through the loop. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Okay, so here is our starting chain, and now we're going to work row 1 into that. Okay, so for row 1, what we're going to do is in the 4th chain from the hook, so this loop here does not count. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that 4th chain from the hook. We're going to work 2 double crochets. Wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into that chain, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So that was 1 double crochet. Then we're going to work a 2nd double crochet into the same chain. Next, we're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and in the chain after that, this time we're going to work a single crochet into that chain. So insert the hook into the chain and bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. Then we're going to skip 2 chains once again, so 1, 2, and in the chain after that, this time we're going to work 4 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that. And then to finish up row 1, what we'll do, you'll have 3 chains left. Skip the next 2 chains, and in that third and last chain, what we'll do is work a single crochet into that. And row 1 is complete. Okay, so just like that. Okay, we're going to move on to row 2, and we're going to change colors. So grab any of the colors you want. I'm just going to cut the yarn, wrap the yarn around the hook, and fasten off. Okay, now I'm going to switch to this barley color. This stitch, the closed shell stitch, we're kind of doing a mini narrow version of this, but this really shows off the colors. So if you have multiple colors, this is a great project for this. Now what you're going to do is reinsert your hook back into that last stitch that we worked, hook the new yarn on, bring it through, and then just tie it right on. All right, take your hook and go right back in there, bring up a loop, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And for this row, this is the row you'll repeat for the rest of your earwarmer. We're going to turn our work, and then we're going to work 2 double crochets in that single crochet we just did in the previous row. So right here at the base where we tied that yarn on, we're going to work 2 double crochets into that single crochet, just like that. And then we're going to work a single crochet in the center space of this shell that we just did. So if you remember, that was 4 double crochets. Go right in the middle of that, in that space, and we're going to work a single crochet right in the middle of that. So now we're going to work 4 double crochets in the single crochet here in between these 2 shells. So you can kind of open this up and see if you're having a hard time seeing it. But that single crochet from the previous row, work 4 double crochets into that. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like that. And you can see the fans are starting to sort of stack on top of one another. Then what we'll do is work a single crochet into the turning chain space to finish the row. So right at the end here where we did our turning chain, it created a space right next to it. So go ahead and work a single crochet into that space. And that is it. All you have to do is just keep repeating row 2. So let's do that one more time together. Let's cut the yarn. We're going to fasten off. Now, if you're switching colors a whole lot like I am, you will have a bunch of ends to weave in. But if you want to stick with the same color or do color changes less often, you'll obviously have less ends to weave in. So go ahead and put we're just going to repeat row 2 once again. So go ahead and put your hook in that same stitch, bring up the new color, and then you can just tie it right on there. Then we're going to bring up a loop of the new color. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and turn. Then in that same single crochet where we just worked, we're going to work 2 double crochets into that. 1 and 2. Then we're going to work a single crochet in the center of that fan, right in the middle there of that space. And then we're going to work 4 double crochets into that single crochet from the previous row. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that. And then a single crochet into the turning chain space. And that's it. We're just going to repeat this over and over and over again until your earwarmer is large enough to wrap around the head. Now you can take a tape measure and kind of pre-measure the circumference of the head, or you can just kind of do what I do. I work a couple rows, try it on, work a couple rows. It's totally up to you. But just keep repeating row 2 over and over and over again. And then when we rejoin, we're going to have a little bit more length here. I'm going to keep repeating the same colors in the same order. And then we'll do a little bit of finish work and seam it together, okay? So keep repeating row 2 until it's comfortably enough to wrap around your head. Not too snug, but you don't want it loose either because it'll slip around and kind of droop down. So keep repeating row 2 and we'll rejoin in just a minute. Working those last few stitches of the row and finishing off with a single crochet in the turning chain space. So as you can see, we have some beautiful colors going on here. Now I did weave in the ends because I really wanted you to see what was going on. I left this last tail here because we're going to seam it together. But I just wanted to give you some measurements. This is measuring at about 18 inches long. It is pretty stretchy. So I would recommend though wrapping it around your head or whoever you're giving it to make sure that it fits comfortably. You want it to be snug but not tight, okay? So what we're going to do is start seaming next. But I wanted to point out, if you're doing stripes like I am, the next color would be red here. So I don't want to do red. I want to make it so when I seam it, the colors are still in the right order. Okay, so it went red, brown, cream, red, brown, cream. So I was about to do red, but red would be the first color we started with, so it keeps that color sequence going correctly. So what we want to do is we're going to cut the yarn, and you can either use this tail or the tail where you began to seam it. We're going to use this red tail. So I'm going to cut the yarn and we're going to fasten off. Wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. And also I have 24 rows that I worked. You might need to work more or less rows depending on the circumference that you're trying to get for yours. So what you want to do now is the closed shell stitch that we did definitely has a side you might like more. Sometimes some of these stitches will peek a little color through them. You can see that there. So figure out what's going to be the outside and what's going to be the inside, okay? So once you figure that out, turn it inside out, and we're going to take your tail here. I'm going to use this red one, and we're going to start seaming it closed. We're going to work the whip stitch to seam it closed. So what you're going to do is sandwich it together. And I wanted to point out when we started with our starting chain, if you seam this here, you're going to have, let me just show you a little bit closer up. If you start seaming along this chain here, you're going to have some pretty big gaps. So when we're seaming this together, we're going to kind of go down a little bit like here, like down below and seam there. Otherwise, we'll have some big gaps here. And this is designed to keep us warm, so we don't want to have that. So sandwich your edges together. Get them all nice and lined up. And then what you're going to do is you're going to start going through both layers. And what a whip stitch is, if you're not familiar with it, it's a seam that kind of is like a spiral through your work. And it's very invisible. And especially if you use a matching piece of yarn like this, it's very easy to kind of let it blend in. Now, I could seam in this opening here, but I don't want a big gap. So I'm going to kind of go below to the next area and seam that. And that way that'll look a lot more snug. And then we're just going to keep doing that all the way across. And my tail is just going to be long enough. So keep going with your seam. If you have a big gap here for these starting chains, just go down to the next area and pick those stitches up, okay? And we're just seaming all the way across our work here. Okay, we work these all the way across, and now if you have a tail here at the end, you can just tie those two together, just like that. And then grab your tail once again, and what we're going to do is thread our needle, and any tails that you have left, you can just weave these in now. If you did stripes like mine, you'll have lots of ends. If you want to save time, you can make yours in self-striping yarn or all one color. That will definitely save a lot of time. If you want to make this even faster, and just snip those tails. And then we have one more with this other color, and we're going to weave that in too. I wanted to point out when you do weave your tails in any color, I did want to point out that when you have tails that you're weaving in of lots of different colors, if you notice, I'm staying in this cream color area to weave in my cream color yarn because otherwise you'll see this white line traveling through some other area of your work, okay? So we're just going to go in one direction, come back in the other direction to lock that tail into place. Whoops, I'm going to grab my scissors and give that a little snip. And then just kind of straighten your seam out nice. And you can turn it right side out and it looks beautiful. We have some lovely texture, a beautiful color palette. And sometimes with this tweed yarn, you might get little blobs of yarn. You can just snip those off. Sometimes they kind of go awry here. But our ear warmer is complete. It looks gorgeous. And that is how you make a 30-minute ear warmer. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. Bye everyone, and happy crocheting!